From the iShin Broadcast Studio, it's the Tool Time Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Tool Time Podcast. I'm Eric Garba, ASE Certified Master Automobile Technician and Editor of Tech Shop.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tool Time. I'm Tom Peck, a group publisher of Tech Shop Magazine, and we've got a really exciting interview today. We've got Don Smith, our Senior Director of Remote Operations from ELITEK here with us today. How you doing, Don?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Don. So Don, ELITEK, can you tell us a little bit about that company? It might be a name that's new to a lot of us.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. So ELITEK is the service arm of LKQ, the parts company that you may be familiar with for the salvage part, the recycled parts, and the aftermarket parts. So the service division, we're responsible for the mobile technicians we have that go out to mechanic shop and body shops and do things they can't do in-house, or they might not have the right personnel, might not have the right equipment, or might not have the right knowledge. And then we have a remote division, which we provide the shops with a remote device, which really just acts like an OBD extension cord back to our remote office.
Okay. Now, yeah, like LKQ, we all know that name, very familiar with it as technicians. But ELITEK, go back a little bit with the history of ELITEK.
So ELITEK was formed, the name merger occurred in about 2020, I think, 2020. The acquisition for the first part of the services division happened in 2019. That was from Elite Electronics. My wife and I started that in 2006. We grew it, and we're fortunate enough to sell to LKQ. Shortly after, George Beebe had VTech, and we acquired VTech. And so they decided to merge the names, and we have ELITEK.
Very nice. So what are some of the other services you guys are offering over there?
Yeah, so on the mobile side, really, that's the real broad scope of services. So our mobile division, the primary mission is for body shops. So they go into body shops, they do the mechanical work that body shops may not have somebody on staff for, whether that's replacing a frame on a vehicle, whether it's just doing some suspension work, pulling a dash. Those are a lot of the things they see on a daily basis. But they also do things like wire repairs. Instead of replacing a harness that may not need it, they'll put a pigtail on a vehicle, but they'll certainly put a harness in a vehicle as well if needed. The other thing that, really our bread and butter right now, because of the way the industry has gone, are the ADAS calibrations. So we do a lot of ADAS calibrations every day. I would suspect we're probably doing over 500 calibrations a day.
I was going to say that's a huge part of it now, right? I mean, just ADAS. I mean, even they're saying if you get your tires aligned, you got to use ADAS to make sure everything's, zeroed in, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the and that's one of the challenges we may talk about later is really identifying when the vehicle needs calibrations.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So with body shops, you're really helping them with, allow them to specialize in the body and paint like they know so well.
Yes, sir.
But all this other technology that's been coming on recently, you're there to help them out with that, the ADAS and, like you said, even wiring and
absolutely
frame replacement, anything like that.
That's where our industry has evolved from, was the need for body shops to have, a new technology. It really started out on the mobile way back in the day, doing vehicles that had been broken into or stolen. So we were replacing car stereos and rebuilding steering columns. Then we had to get some factory scan tools because we got into replacing airbags, and the body shops at the time didn't have the knowledge set to do the airbags. And it's just evolved over the years with different things, with EVs and electric vehicles and the ADAS calibrations. And then, our remote, and really the main mission for ELITEK is to help the customer get the vehicle back on the road safely. We want to help whoever the customer is make sure that the driver of that vehicle gets a vehicle back that is safe to operate on the road, that you feel comfortable putting your kids in, you feel comfortable putting anybody in your family in that vehicle.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. So these mobile and remote services, they're becoming a lot more popular just for your everyday automotive repair shop for stuff that's a little bit difficult for us. Are you getting into that? And if so, what types of vehicles do you work on?
So the mobile has done a lot with the service side of the industry for a long time. Where we really started out in that side of it was programming vehicles. So a shop would replace a module, whether it's a body control module or an engine control module, what have you. They would call us to come program it because, you know, your scan tools, your Snap-on scanner, Alltel, whatever you have, does a great job for 90% of what you need, but you really got to have an OEM scanner for that last 10%. So we had OEM scanners on the vehicles, so we would go in and do that. But also with the OEM scanners, it gives us an ability to do some advanced diagnostics they may not be able to do with their aftermarket scanners. So we occasionally would do some diagnostics for, you know, a CAN bus issue. It depends on the shop, you know, if they don't have a technician there that's great at no communication issues or no cranks,
right,
versus a shop that has that guy, we may be doing something different for them. So it's really dependent on the needs of the shop. And now we're starting to see more ADAS calibrations where if they put a condenser in a vehicle, they pull the front bumper and that vehicle needs an ADAS calibration. We'll go in and do that ADAS calibration for them.
That's really great to know.
That's really wild. So, you know, I'm curious, like, what are the advantages of the remote work?
You know, on the remote side, the big difference is now with the service shops, when the programming needs to be done, we don't have to send a mobile technician to you to get that done. We can sell you a device, you keep it in your shop, say, hey, we put this ECM in, you plug it in, hey, help me program this ECM. The shop doesn't have to know what they're doing, doesn't have to know anything about programming, doesn't have to have the equipment or the subscription. We charge them a programming fee and that vehicle's back on the road. Or if they see a service bulletin for an update for an ECM for a misfire, we can do that for them. So that's the magic part of the remote, is it's really almost instantaneous versus mobile. You know, they've got to wait, you know, a few hours at minimum, normally about 24 hours before somebody shows up. But we still certainly offer the mobile services because there's absolutely times when the remote is not going to do what we need to do. But as far as vehicle coverage, you know, the only thing we're not covering are exotics. You know, we're actually, and we're starting to get more into those. We just got our Lamborghini and Bentley software. So we're doing more and more exotics because we see more of them. The demand is there.
I'll have to bring my Lambo in for you to take a look at that.
Yeah, we can go race the same thing.
Yeah, we can go race all our Lambos around the parking lot.
All right, that works out for me. That's good.
So those remote services, I mean, for a technician, that's just like another tool in your toolbox almost. It happens so quick. You know, you need help right there.
Absolutely, and that's what we try to tell them. You know, when we're delivering to the technicians and the shop owners, the message is, again, you know, it goes back to your Snap-on scanner does great at that 90%. This is here to supplement your existing scan tool and cover that last 10% that you don't have. And remote is never going to be 100%, but it'll cover 95% of that 90%.
Right.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. So on the mobile side of things, can you talk a little bit about how that works and maybe what you've experienced so far, maybe what the expectations of a shop are, for example? What are you equipped to do? A shop calls, said, we need help. We need a mobile, you know, tech to come out. You have a van, you pull up, and the car's sitting outside,
Sure.
Are you able to work on it there? Do you have a canopy? I mean, how do you manage those types of calls?
Yeah, so I'll hit the expectation of the shop real quick because this has been a long-running joke.
Yeah, I'll bet.
The shop expectation is that we show up with a Superman cape and a Harry Potter wand. So that's always been the joke, is, you know, that's what they expect. They're calling,
right.
If a shop is calling an expert in, it's just like a doctor doing a consult with a specialist, right? That's what they expect. So we come in, we work with the shop. We'll go get the keys from the shop, find the vehicle in the parking lot, find out the battery is certainly dead because it's never going to be charged up when we get there because somebody's been working on it and left it dead.
And it's out of gas.
And it's probably out of gas if we need to test drive it, or a flat tire.
Right, yeah.
But we'll go find the vehicle, and depending on what we're doing, you know, if it's a simple wire repair, we're probably just going to do that in place. But if it's going to be something pretty lengthy for a service shop, a lot of times they'll clear out a bay for us. We may use their lift depending on the needs. At a body shop, it's very similar. The difference being that we almost always have a bay. We see the body shop on average, we'll see one of our high volume body shops we'll see almost every day. We may do 2 or 3 cars for them every day.
Oh, that's a lot.
So we have a dedicated bay a lot of times.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty nuts.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
So I wanted to jump back to ADAS again. So I'm fascinated with ADAS, you know, but with ADAS calibration, and I mean, it's becoming so relevant these days in the automotive industry. I mean, are there any big challenges you guys are facing with that?
You know, it's interesting you say that. I think for there's a lot of pop-up shops right now, and I don't want to use that term derogatory,
Sure.
but it's an easy term to use. There's a lot of small mom and pop ADAS calibration companies out there. And I think the challenge is making sure that everybody in the industry is up to speed and doing it right, because you can certainly do it incorrect. The vehicle will have no lights on and go down the road, but it may not work correctly. So that comes back to the safety issue. Making sure the industry is trained up. You know, on a daily basis, the things we experience is a shop calls and says, hey, we need a calibration on this. It's trying to find the right amount of space needed for that calibration at the shop's facility. But the biggest challenge we honestly see in the industry is education for the shop owners, the shop estimators, service writers, whoever it be, to know when the vehicle needs an ADAS calibration. You know, a lot of people don't realize just because you pull the bumper off, put it back on to do a condenser, like we were talking about earlier, that needs a calibration in most cases, just because the bumper's been removed and reinstalled. Even if you didn't touch the front radar sensor.
Right.
So it just needs to be done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Don, I'm going to throw a question, a couple different angles of this question. Can you talk a little bit about when you started the company? You know, were you out there doing this work? Did you have technicians working for you? And kind of lead into today the experience that your technicians have, and also maybe a little bit, I see this as another interesting avenue for the industry as a career path for somebody.
Sure.
You can look into as being opposed to being in a shop. And how does that all come together for you?
Yeah, no, great question. Yes, I was a technician. I started out as a Dodge technician at a Dodge dealership. Actually, I started out my career installing car stereos. Is kind of how it ended up in this.
Yeah.
And doing car alarms, which I will tell you right now, if you can install a car alarm, you're going to be a great diagnostic technician.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
It's, you know, once you really understand the car alarms, they're really not that bad if you're a good diagnostic electrical technician. It's really interesting. So, but long story is, the short version of this is I was a technician, I was an owner, a janitor, IT, all the above. My first technician was given the keys to his van. The van was sitting in the parking lot and the engine was right next to it. And so that was his first job he got paid to do, and that's a running joke, is the first technician that he got paid to put his engine in his van. Oh. But, you know, it was, we were bootstrapping it, right? And that's how we came up. But eventually, through the years, we realized that the technicians that come aboard first get humbled really quick, because they're used to working on a car that's out of warranty, 5 years old, and has a code for, a misfire. Well, it's probably a plug or a coil. Well, when we're working on it at the body side of it, a lot of times it's a cut wire, a module's been damaged. So there's a lot more that goes into the diagnostics. Okay. And you may be working on a car that's never been to the dealership. It may have driven off the dealership, got slammed in the side of it, and now it's at the body shop.
Right.
So you're working on 2025s, we routinely work on, same year model vehicles.
So you're working on new stuff as well.
That's the majority of really what we work on is probably 4 years and newer.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that's more difficult, I would imagine, because these are cars, there's not a lot of information out there. You can't YouTube it or Google it or whatever and see what did this,
we can't
person do?
identify
It's
it
not
and
there.
see what
You're
the
figuring
fix
it out
is from
the first time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we see stuff that dealerships may not ever see. Because we fix a lot of self-induced pain, meaning the body shop, there's two connectors for two things right next to each other and they got swapped, because it's not common that the manufacturer does that, but sometimes, and I can think of a few examples. But eventually over the years, right, we're really good at talking on a group text. Somebody would call in with this problem. Somebody, have you seen this? Oh yeah, it's going to be these two connectors are swapped.
Okay.
And so we would show up and do those things. But the technicians really loved it as a career path because they're not stuck working on the same vehicles over and over at a dealership.
Right.
They're not stuck trying to sell maintenance. They had the opportunity to work on new vehicles with OEM scan tools, access to OEM information. Their day was really self-regulated. The faster they worked, the more they got paid. But they also, if they needed to leave at 3, we'd let them work with their schedules. They got to take their vans home, which meant all their tools were now at their house. So they didn't have to have 2 sets of tools.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So, all of us have been there, right? Where, I need to fix the wife's car or something. And or the neighbor's
All your
car,
stuff's gone,
and all my
yeah.
stuff's at the shop.
Yeah, right.
So that
Oh,
was
yeah,
one of the
for
nice
sure.
things,
That's
right?
really
So they have
nice.
access to all that. And then on the remote side, it's a great progression for the technicians. If they want to kind of get out of the sun, get out of the weather, and start working in the inside behind a computer. Most of our remote techs sit behind a computer all day and help technicians out in the field, kind of like a warranty guy might do.
Yeah.
Right.
Very similar career progression.
Yeah, it's such a big deal because just people don't realize, technology that's involved in the automotive industry.
Yep.
I mean, just between scan tools, diagnostics, I mean, just all that stuff. It's, a lot of people don't understand that cars are basically computers on wheels,
for
you
sure.
know, and that's a big deal. So Don, I want to ask you, it sounds really cool, and unfortunately I think I'm too old at this point to make a career change, but like what would be some advice you'd have for some of these young folks that are growing up, maybe that were interested in working for a company like ELITEK?
Yeah, I think most of the companies like ours probably either have an apprenticeship program, but it's really no more complicated than what they're probably doing today if they're working on vehicles. They just have to take a little bit more time, do a little bit more research. But you're going to get to where you learn this stuff really quickly. Yeah. And honestly, if you're interested in this career path, just apply. Find one of these local companies, the ADAS calibrations. If it's something that interests you, just apply. If you can work on a car, if you can tap a keyboard, is really what the skill set, to your point of being a car's computer nowadays. Yeah. If you can tap on a keyboard or use a touch screen, you're probably going to be able to do an ADAS calibration.
Do you guys do a lot of training, like yourselves? Like, would you bring in entry-level people and train them from the ground up?
We do. We've had an apprenticeship program for many years. All of our new hired technicians, so we've got technicians, about 300 technicians all over the United States that are mobile, and they all come to our Dallas-Fort Worth area training facility. They come there for about a week of training. They also train in market, whatever market they're going to be in, for about a week before they get out on their own.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And but they say one of the best ways to learn is by doing it. So like you said, Don, if you're interested in the industry and a career, apply and get out there, get your hands going.
It's the same way these guys
the only way to learn.
Decided that they want to go work in a mechanic shop, right? They applied to the shop and started on the ground floor. And fortunately, you may not start as low with us, but you'll be quickly up on your own. It's a quick progression.
Yeah, that is awesome. So this has been fantastic. Don, one final thing. So if you're a shop and you're interested, in pursuing these services from ELITEK, what do you need to do to get started?
Probably the easiest thing to do is call our 800 number. It's 888-8-ELITEK.
That's pretty easy to remember.
And
that was the good marketing.
Yeah, right.
That was the good marketing solution on that one, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
4-8 ELITEK.
Check out your website. Your website.
Yeah, check out our website, elitekauto.com. If it's something you're interested in, go there, submit a request, and we'll have a sales rep contact you, or call the phone number and you can talk to a sales rep, talk to them live. Thanks again, Don. This has been great.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for
tuning
in and watching this, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.